And just like that, the fantasy football season comes to an end.
You are now listening to the Dynasty Rewind.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind. I'm your host, Michael Bauer, the best in the business, back in business, joined as always by my faithful co-host, Nate Professor Christian. Nate, that's it, man. Fantasy season coming to an end. There might be some leagues out there that have a Week 18 championship matchup. Those are a little more rare. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but not as common.
Yeah, I actually have one league. It's a best ball dynasty league. I'm in the championship, and it's a 2-week championship because it's best ball. So it's week 17 and week 18. Whoever has the best score after 2 weeks. So that is the only league I have going into next week. Otherwise, we are done. Championships are pretty much set. I do want to congratulate one of our members from our Discord, from our Patreon community, Chris Fix. Ooh. He said he won his first championship. It's a pretty stellar lineup, including Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, many, many more. T. Higgins, of course, in there after his stellar week. And he put in there, I owe pretty much all of it to this amazing Discord and all of our rewinders. So Thank you, Chris, for that kind word. Awesome. And congratulations on your first championship.
Chris, congrats. Chris has been a longtime member of our Patreon. You could check it out too, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. Hop in there a week for free, especially now. Now is more important than ever. You're going to be getting ready for your rookie drafts. We're going to be dropping some amazing rookie content. And Chris is a great dude. I've talked to him a bunch. Like I said, longtime supporter. Chris is awesome. Everybody in there is awesome. And anybody that hopes to join in, check it out for a week. You know what I mean? What do you have to lose? It's free for a whole week. That's great. So Nate, that's it, man. We're just putting a tack in this fantasy football season. It came and went so quick, and yet it felt like it was a lot longer than it should have been. My buddy Johnny, who does an Eagles podcast that I hop on sometimes, he was texting me today during the Eagles-Cowboys game, and he's like, man, this season is too long. He's like, just give me 14 games. I'm like, almost can't disagree with you at this point.
I was fine with the 16-game schedule. I didn't need a 17th game, to be honest. I liked that teams could go 8-8. You can't finish 500 anymore. I don't like that. I like to go back to even numbers, please. I mean, we're only probably a year or two away from getting to an 18-game schedule, but I was fine with 16.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm fine with 16. Making it even numbers so teams can go 500 again. I don't know why that's important to people. It's important to me for some reason. I just don't like all the unevenness of it, I guess you could say. So interesting to see what happens. But hey, you know what? The way I see it is, if you get more games, more chances to sneak into the playoffs, more chances to win a championship. So it's all good either way. If they went back to less games or if they went to more, we're going to be here either way. I will say this, as a content creator and specifically a brand that focuses a lot on fantasy, rookie content, shortening the off season makes it a little bit more hectic for us.
Just a little bit,
but that's okay. We're going to hold it down either way. And this is our last podcast of the year. This is it. I'm putting it out a day early for you guys. We're done, man. After this, we're only doing one pod this week. Then we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit and, stay tuned for that and keep your eye on the YouTube. And just thank you. I want to take a minute to say thank you to everybody who's been with us, be it audio pod, in the Patreon, watching on YouTube, however you consume our content. We've grown exponentially over the year, and we want to thank all our listeners, all our viewers. It means a lot to us that you tune in each and every week to listen to us, to watch us. However you do it, we appreciate all you guys. Wouldn't be here without you. Nate, that being said, let's kick it off, man. Let's talk about our last dynasty trade values of the year because, hey, trades are still going on. A lot of leagues, some I'm in. That championship is over. Bam, they open things right back up, and I love that. So, Nate, who do you want to talk about first? When I saw this on here, I'm not going to lie. I was excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, right. I like this guy, but I want to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I like him too. And excited to talk about him. And we're going to talk about Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the New York Jets. Now, there's obviously some unknowns moving forward. Is Aaron Rodgers back there next year? We've heard a little bit of he does want to be there, a little bit of he doesn't want to be there. Is Devontae Adams there next year? He seems to be a package deal wherever Rodgers goes at this point. So some question marks around the Jets, but also some question marks around Garrett Wilson. As we've heard, there could be trade rumors with him. I believe there was a report this morning that there has been calls made to the Jets about Garrett Wilson. So there are conversations happening. Don't know how serious they're being taken, but there are conversations happening. I noticed today that Garrett Wilson was wide receiver 13 on Keep Trade Cut, which is the lowest that he has been since November 25th, 2022, Mike.
Wow.
That is over 2 years ago. So if you're looking to go acquire some Garrett Wilson, this is the cheapest he has been in 2 years. Currently wide receiver 8 on the season, wide receiver 18 in points per game, tied with Ladd McConkey, and fourth most in targets, 7th in receptions as of this morning before the Week 17 games. And he did, I believe, have more than 20 yards today. So he had his third straight 1,000-yard season to start his career. So Garrett Wilson, quite the start to his career, but hasn't maybe quite hit the expectation that some people had of him as he entered the league. So, Mike, some people are disappointed, but we're still seeing plenty of production from him. Let's look at the values here. Straight up swap, Garrett Wilson or Kyren Williams?
That one's a little tough for me. You know what? I'm going to be talking about Kyren Williams later, and there is a trade that involves Garrett Wilson in that as well. So why don't we curb that for later, and then we could do the old circle back. How's that sound?
All right, we'll come back to it. That sounds good. I'll give you my answer then as well. Okay, next up, we got Chase Brown and Bryce Young for Garrett Wilson, a second-round pick and a third-round pick.
Chase Brown, Bryce Young for Wilson, a second and third.
This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
You know what? I did see you put a tweet out that said you believe Chase Brown's in some sort of timeshare next year. And Bryce Young, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm okay with this. To be honest with you, getting a second or third on top of it. I think if he gets traded, no matter where he goes, he's going to be a stud. If he stays with the Jets, he's going to put up 1,000 yards. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm good with this trade for the Garrett Wilson side. Get some draft picks on top of it. I, of course, like Bryce Young, but we don't know what's going to come out of that just yet. He has looked good the past couple of weeks, though, that's for sure. And regarding my tweet about Chase Brown, I did quote tweet. I don't have it up at the moment. But basically the tweet was how bad Cincinnati Bengal running backs have been on the goal line. I believe it was 12 carries for -5 yards and many less touchdowns than you would expect. So they obviously need some kind of short yardage back to pair with Chase Brown. That's what Zach Moss was supposed to be before he got hurt. So whether it's Zach Moss back with the team, or if it is a day 3 pick, I do think that there's going to be some competition brought in for those specific touches, at least at the minimum, maybe for more touches outside of those short yardage situations, but definitely some competition would be brought in to pair with Chase Brown. And then another trade here, Michael Penix and Bucky Irving for Trevor Lawrence and Garrett Wilson. I tell you what, Mike, this is actually really easy for me.
I'm assuming you're leaning the Lawrence and Wilson side?
Yes, I am.
As am I.
Yeah, I think that's a very easy trade to go on the Wilson, Trevor Lawrence side. Trevor Lawrence obviously better than Michael Penix. Well, I have to say obviously. Maybe some people don't believe that. And then Garrett Wilson over Bucky Irving, despite Bucky Irving having a really good rookie season so far.
Yeah. And for the record, as we're recording this on Sunday night, so Michael Penix has yet to play.
Yep.
This week, we know Trevor Lawrence is out for the season.
So if Michael Penix throws, 80% completion rate, 5 touchdowns against the Commanders, we can maybe reassess.
Yeah, of course. Okay, very good. Garrett Wilson, we still believe. Let's move on. Let's talk about a quarterback. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. Nate, he's having quite the season against Denver this past week. 39-49, 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 4 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown. Didn't know he was such a scrambler, but he does it when he has to. But we know Joe Burrow likes to sit back in the pocket. He'll move if he has to. 2 games over 400 yards this season and 6 games between 300 and 400 yards. And he's currently quarterback 3 on the season, averaging 23 fantasy points per game. Did you edit that? Did he get bumped down?
Josh Allen played, so he did get bumped down.
Okay, yes.
Saved you there.
Thank you. I filled this out earlier, but still. And so 23 fantasy points per game. Fantastic. And I mean, there's a couple over 20. The quarterbacks over 20 points per game are Jalen Hurts at 21.3, Jaden Daniels at 21.8, Baker Mayfield at 22.5, Burrow at 23, Josh Allen at 24.1, and your QB1, Nate, Lamar Jackson, 25.7.
That's incredible. He just had the 5th best season by a quarterback in fantasy football history. He also has the number 1 season. So
that's
pretty
amazing.
good.
He's so freaking good, man. I don't know. Hey, Lamar Jackson can't throw. Interesting. 4,000 yards on the season. That being said, what does it cost to get a guy like this? Still young enough. He's not going anywhere for a long time. Love to have Joe Burrow. Let's see what it costs. I think this one's kind of a no-brainer. And these happen. My trade's courtesy of Fantasy Calc. Your trade's courtesy of Dynasty Daddy. So if you're sitting in your car or watching us on YouTube saying those trades wouldn't happen in my league, hey, they could have. Brock Purdy in a 25 first.
Yeah, this is easy Burrow for me. And Purdy's obviously been impressive, but Joe Burrow is in that top tier of quarterbacks right now. There's been a lot of discussion recently about, the top tier quarterbacks of like the last generation being Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze. Now we have the new top tier where it is Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, which they all are in the AFC, which is kind of annoying for those of us in the AFC who have to play a really competitive conference every year. I don't even know who the best quarterback in the NFC is, to be honest. Maybe Jaden Daniels, honestly.
Baker Mayfield is quarterback 4.
Baker Mayfield is actually currently the best quarterback in the NFC.
You got some good NFC quarterbacks. Baker's up there. Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff. We got Sam Darnold. Somehow Jaden Daniels, of course. Jordan Love. We can't forget about Jordan Love as well.
The NFC is where the quarterbacks who couldn't make it in the AFC, they go to the NFC and they do well there. And the quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers go from the NFC to the AFC and they can't keep up, AFC for life.
Okay. That being said, let's move on. Don't give me your NFC slander.
The Super Bowl is basically AFC championship these days, Let's be honest.
Okay. The next one, we got Jalen Hurts, a 25 third and a 26 fourth for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'm taking Joe Burrow here.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts, he had a pretty good season. He averaged 21.3 fantasy points. Buoyed by his 14 rushing touchdowns. And I know that is something that he just continues to do. And it's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. But at some point, someone's going to figure out the tush push. At some point, if he doesn't have 14 rushing touchdowns, double-digit rushing touchdowns, he's not going to be over 20 points per game. So give me Joe Burrow.
We had the Pickett push today.
Oh, the Pickett push looked good. It did.
When they lined up for it, I'm like, come on. And then he got it. I was like, All right. I don't hate the trade. I just don't like the 3 assets. I'd rather see if I could do Hurts and a second instead of the 3rd and 4th, just to not move as many picks.
I'd rather move the 3rd and the 4th than the 2nd.
All right, fair enough. And another Jalen Hurts trade for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow and a 26 second for Jalen Hurts and a 26 first.
Yeah, give me the Burrow side here.
I'll take that.
It's not enough of a difference to give me the Hurts side.
Okay.
If it was Burrow straight up for Hurts in the first, I would lean the Hurts in the first side.
Okay. Nate, who do you want to talk about next?
All right, I want to talk about DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Currently 27 years old, will be 28 to start the season next year. And currently on the season is the wide receiver 17. I think that might be surprising to some people because DJ Moore has had a disappointing season to many people, and the Bears offense as a whole has. And you could argue that, wide receiver 17 is kind of moving the goalpost a little bit because as though he is wide receiver 17, he didn't even have 1,000 yards this year. He only had 5 touchdowns. He only averaged 13.5 points per game. And if you go by points per game, he was actually wide receiver 30. So his availability obviously helped him out this year. He was a solid flex for you this year, but he really truly wasn't like that wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 that you were probably hoping for him to be this season. Now, he is signed through the 2029 season, so he is with the Bears for a while at this point. They do have possible outs after the 2026 season where they could save some money with cutting him, but we know DJ Moore is a very good wide receiver, still very young despite coming to the league. For a while ago, he came in very, very young himself. So I think he's going to be on the Bears for a while. And him and Odunze are the future. Keenan Allen will not be there next year. And we do expect a different coaching staff. We expect better things from Caleb Williams than we saw this year. So moving forward, how do we feel about DJ Moore as he kind of leaves this young, exciting wide receiver tier and kind of moves into the middle-aged wide receiver tier after a disappointing season? We did have a really good season from DJ Moore last year. So this one definitely was a bit of a disappointment. So trade values, Mike, going across position here. DJ Moore was acquired straight up for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I'll do the DJ Moore side.
Yep. A question here with Kenneth Walker. Are you nervous at all about Zach Charbonnet?
I don't know. I still believe in Kenneth Walker long-term, and one of those guys could always move on. The Seahawks could choose to trade one of them. So, no, Kenneth Walker will be somewhere playing, just like I think Javonte Williams will be somewhere else next year. And, I don't really want to move Javonte. I don't want to move Kenneth Walker right now. But if I'm getting an asset like this, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too. Nico Collins for DJ Moore and a 2nd-round pick.
I still want Nico Collins.
I also want Nico Collins. This would be a very easy trade for me. I doubt you can make this trade, honestly. But I think you can get the conversation started with DJ Moore in a second. So,
well, as per the YouTube comments, I play in smart leagues, so that trade wouldn't happen.
Yeah, a smart league might cost you DJ Moore in a 1st for Nico Collins, which
true
would make much more sense, I think. But thanks, this happened, as we said. We go off the facts. Jaylen Waddle for DJ Moore and a 3rd-round pick.
I'm leading the DJ Moore side. Jaylen Waddle, I know you had him on here last week. Man, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him down there. And I feel like Mike McDaniel's probably on the hot seat down there. And I don't know. I think
it's a little warm.
Yeah, it's definitely a little warm. Give me DJ Moore.
All right, I get that. Also, Tua did sustain another hip injury today, though I was told it was unrelated to the hip injury that he had at Alabama and that there's no surgery involved or anything like that. We don't know too much at this point, but it seems more minor of a hip injury than what he's experienced in the past. So, but as we know, Tua definitely has some injury history that we need to take into account when talking about his wide receivers.
It's concerning.
It is concerning.
Okay. All right, now let's talk about a running back here, and that's Pittsburgh Steelers running back Jaylen Warren, who his snap percentage was more than Najee Harris. I believe it was 53 to 46%. I forgot to put it on here. But against the Chiefs, 11 carries, 71 yards, five receptions, 41 yards, no touchdowns across the board. Now, I know he outsnapped him, but he also outtouched Najee Harris only by 1, 16 total touches to 15. That's rushing and receiving. He was a UDFA in 22, so he's not under contract. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Okay, he's going to be a cheap option for the Steelers, and it seems extremely unlikely that Najee Harris is back. The fact of the matter is they do not have any quarterbacks under contract. Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, both on one-year deals. So they're going to either have to re-sign one of those guys, trade for someone, draft somebody. They might not have a lot of money to dump into the running back position.
You know what? Kenny Pickett looked good today.
He did look good today, but I'm pretty sure he's not going back. So maybe Aaron Rodgers will be the next guy in Pittsburgh. See if he could keep hacking.
As a Ravens fan, I hope so.
Yeah, you would hope so. Like I said, unlikely Najee's back, and Jaylen Warren looks pretty good. I think no matter if he's there, it's going to be some sort of committee. But look, the fact is committee backs matter too. What does it cost to get him? This trade was made yesterday, the 28th. Joe Flacco, straight up.
Yeah, give me Jaylen Warren. I mean, I think we get to this part of the season, you see some of these trades that went through. Obviously, someone was going for a championship. They needed a quarterback. Right. They went for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and I think Joe Flacco he probably could have helped you win a championship. 330 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, did have 2 picks as well, but still, Joe Flacco losing to the New York Giants.
3 for all those yards, and still Josh Downs only had like 5 points. I don't get it. That hurt me in a couple places.
Thank you, though, Jonathan Taylor, for keeping my dreams alive. A 25 first for Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I think Chase Brown going value is about a late 25 first anyway. So getting Jaylen Warren in there as well really drives home that value.
Yeah, I think he could be a nice little flex starter for you. Fill in RB 2 or 3 if you need him. And here's another one that interested me. Isaiah Pacheco for Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris.
I probably, I like the package side here. Warren and Najee Harris, give it to me.
Yeah, I'm going to go that side as well.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop up to 45% off select styles, plus a free professional measure during the Blinds.com year-end blowout. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Nate, who is the next player that you want to talk about?
All right. This is a guy that we've talked about for a while now, and we are still, yearning for some real production out of him. Kyle Pitts. We yearn so much for Kyle Pitts production. We haven't got it since he broke 1,000 yards his rookie season, was set up for huge success. I pray to God that doesn't happen to Brock Bowers. But Kyle Pitts, only 24 to start next season, so he's still young. We're going to be able to call him young for like 3 more years and get excited about it. But will Kyle Pitts ever do what we want him to do? Currently this year, he hasn't played his Week 16 game yet, but 41 catches for 543 yards and 3 touchdowns, Mike. That is not great production. That's currently tight end 18 on the season, averaging 7.6 points per game. You'd probably be better off streaming a tight end in your tight end position than starting Kyle Pitts. So he has been extremely disappointing. I mean, this is a guy that people were spending 2 first-round picks on early in his career, maybe even more than that. He was supposed to be a generational prospect, and we just haven't gotten it for whatever reason. Like I said, he was extremely productive his rookie season, but since then has been really disappointing. And I don't know if it's Atlanta. We blamed Arthur Smith for a while, but he's out of there and it's still happening. I don't know where we go from here, but I'll tell you what, most of the deals I saw for Kyle Pitts, he was a throw-in piece, and not a throw-in as in he's valued like a 4th-round pick, but he was usually an addition to someone else higher value than him in the trade. So, Mike, here you go. Here's a couple trades. If for any reason, if you want to go acquire Kyle Pitts, or maybe you want to sell Kyle Pitts, here's some trade value. Tyjae Spears for Kyle Pitts in a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, I'll do the Pitts in a second. Tajay Spears been banged up this whole season. Pollard's still going to be under contract. Seems to be getting the short end of the committee stick there. So, hey, I'm just going to bank on the hopeful upside of Pitts, and I'll take the second on top of it.
All right. I'm going to also go with Kyle Pitts in the second round pick myself. I think the value's there. All right, next up, we got wide receiver 0, Drake London, for Rashee Rice and Kyle Pitts.
I think this is a team this trade is teams going in two different directions. The Drake London side, I'm assuming, is more competitive because Rashee Rice is obviously not helping you. So it's like, one part of you saying, well, I don't want any part of the Atlanta receiving game, but yet part of it is so you have to think of which wide receiver has the highest upside. Is it Rashee Rice? Is it Drake London? Drake London's looked pretty good this year.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair trade right now as it sits on December 29th. I don't know. I could really go either way on this one. I think I slightly right now lean the Drake London side.
All right. I'm going to kind of lean the Rashee Rice, Kyle Pitts side. I think Rashee Rice, when healthy, is going to be able to put up similar numbers to Drake London. Drake London currently sitting at wide receiver 13, but after he plays his week 16 game, will find himself back up into the top 12 wide receivers, probably settling into wide receiver 10 on the season.
I think you mean week 17 game, right?
Week 17. It's his 16th game, week 17. You're right. Yeah. So, but I'll take Rashee Rice and Kyle Pitts. I think Rice is, not too much of a step down from London, and getting Pitts on there. I don't want to say I'm a believer still, but I'm not a disbeliever.
Okay.
I'll take Pitts if he's a throw-in. If he's a throw-in piece. All right. And last trade here, going from one tight end to another. George Kittle for Kyle Pitts and a second-round pick.
I'll take Kittle.
Yeah, me as well. I talked about him a couple weeks ago. I think Kittle still got 2 or 3 years of great production left. So give me that. Sorry. Unless I have another really good tight end on my team, I can't downgrade to Kyle Pitts because I can't believe I can start him every week.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about a wide receiver who's been popping off a little bit this month, and that is Denver Broncos wide receiver Marvin Mims. Didn't think I'd be talking about him positively.
Yeah.
But hey, here we are. The fantasy season churns on. Against the Bengals, 8 catches, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And for the month of December, I apparently do not know how to do math because I have him at 8 receptions for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is not correct. I don't know where I put my little scratch paper. I'm sorry. It is 6, 10, 18 catches for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Forgot that one there. So is he becoming a contributor here, Nate? He's got a good rapport right now with the franchise quarterback, the expected franchise quarterback in Bo Nix. Can it be a flex or wide receiver 3 fill-in? Should we buy low? But can we buy low? What does it cost? I've seen him go multiple times on my friends over at Fantasy Calc for either a 25 second or 25 third. I can tell you right now, I feel more comfortable with the 25 third than the 25 second. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, I would move any third for Marvin Mims at this point. It's a very easy trade to make. A second, I'm definitely a bit more hesitant on. I think a late second, I'm totally good with that. Once you get to the early second, I'm not feeling that. I think I'd rather go after one of the guys coming up in this draft. One of my big concerns with Marvin Mims, and I'm a Marvin Mims fan. I have a good amount of Marvin Mims across my leagues.
Same.
But this entire year, Marvin Mims never crossed 50% snap share.
Yeah.
And even in the last 2 weeks where he's performed much better, 47%, 47%. Still did not get over 50% snap share. And this has been a problem his first 2 years of his career with Sean Payton. He just hasn't been out in the field. When he has been, he's been productive. We've seen many chances where he goes out there, 17% snap share on the week, has 2 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. He's got that ability, but he just can't get out there consistently throughout the games. And that worries me on a week-to-week basis. I think he's a great best ball ad. But on a week-to-week basis, what am I getting out of Marvin Mims? How can I rely on him if he can't even get out there for 50% of the snaps? So I do still have some hesitancy on Marvin Mims.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at what else they have, obviously Cortland Sutton is the A there. Then you got Mims, you got Devon Vele, Troy Franklin, Lil Jor Humphrey is out there, David Sills, the 5th. There's 4 other David Sills rocking around there. But, it's one of those things where got to see him on the field more. How about this one? Adam Thielen.
Yeah. I mean, Adam Thielen's obviously been incredible. Production-wise, he probably won your league if you had him in your championship lineup this weekend. But moving forward, I'm good to take my chances with Marvin Mims over holding on to Adam Thielen.
I agree. And another one, again, two teams going in different directions. Josh Jacobs for Chris Godwin and Marvin Mims.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go Josh Jacobs here. I think he is the best piece out of all three. And I don't think Mims does enough for me on top of Godwin to really push it that way, though I do think this is a pretty fair trade. And I wouldn't be upset if someone went at the other side if they needed wide receivers.
Yeah, I'll take the Jacobs side as well, especially with how well he's played. If it was Godwin and like a projected high second, I'd be more inclined because then I feel like I could possibly get another running back in this draft. This running back draft is looking really good, who will probably right off the rip consistently get you more points than Marvin Mims. But I can kind of understand the logic behind the trade. So Nate, let's move on to your next player.
All right. Let's talk about possibly the best wide receiver in this rookie class. And no, I'm not talking about Malik Neighbors. I'm talking about Brian Thomas Jr.
In all fairness, Malik Neighbors had one hell of a game today, though. I'll say
that. I'm not going to say that Brian Thomas is the best wide receiver in this rookie class, but I think at this point it is arguable between the two of them, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, who is the best. Brian Thomas currently wide receiver 8 on Keep Trade Cut, wide receiver 4 on the season at this moment. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown has not played his 16th game of the season, and CeeDee Lamb obviously missed this past week. Malik Neighbors only played 14 games, but Brian Thomas is number 4 at the moment. So very, very impressive. Had 122 targets, 80 receptions, 1,179 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He averaged 16.7 points per game. For comparison, Malik Neighbors averaged 18.3 points per game, but did play in 2 less games than Brian Thomas. So incredible work from a rookie season perspective. And rookies in NFL history to have over 1,100 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. The list goes Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham Jr., Randy Moss, Brian Thomas Jr.
Oof, that's some good company to be in right there.
Some very, very good company to be in. Also, take a note that 3 of them are from LSU, and we're not even including Malik Neighbors and Justin Jefferson on that list. LSU, wide receiver U at the moment. I know Ohio State's put them out. I know Alabama's putting them out, but LSU has given us the top talent that we're seeing in the NFL right now. So that's very impressive. But Brian Thomas, Mike, if you want Brian Thomas, he's already expensive at wide receiver 8. But I think his value is only going to grow over the offseason. So if you're interested in Brian Thomas Jr. and acquiring him, I think you need to do it in the first month or two from here on out, because by the time we get to midsummer and everyone's had a couple months to simmer on the fact of Brian Thomas's rookie season, Trevor Lawrence is back to being healthy, they get a new head coach, we're all excited about it, something like that. I don't know how much higher you can really go at this point, but he's going to be basically unacquirable if he's not already, to be honest. But let's look at it, because he's not unacquirable according to these trade values, Mike. Before you get into the values, are there any rookie wide receivers coming out that you would take over Brian Thomas right now? No. I was thinking about that, when you were putting him on here before the sheet, because I know you wanted to make a last-minute switch, and that's cool. There is nobody in this class, and I like Ted McMillan. I like Luther Burden, but right now there's not any wide receiver prospects coming out that I would take over Brian Thomas at all. Yeah, I would probably trade the 102 for Brian Thomas. Yeah. I would consider the 101 depending on where my team is. Yeah. If I earned the 101, I'd probably trade it for Brian Thomas. Yeah, I think he's that good. I really do. I really do too. This is a guy that also added like another 30 yards on the ground this week. He's just incredible. He can do screens. He can get down the field. You can give him end arounds. He's very versatile and very talented. So cost, Mike. I think these are all deals, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. First one we got up here, Calvin Ridley, a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Goodbye, Mr. Ridley. That is highway robbery to go get Brian Thomas right now. 2 first-round picks. Easy. Yeah. Unless you're the 101 both years. I think 2 first-round picks, very easy to move for Brian Thomas right now. Like I said, his value is only going to grow. Week 4 of the 2025 season, you're going to be asking for 3 first-round picks if you're moving Brian Thomas. And then Chris Olave and Kenneth Walker for Brian Thomas.
I'll do that.
I would do that as well. If you can get a good deal on Brian Thomas Jr. right now, this is one of the last windows to buy before you have to wait until year 4. He's going to be cheaper than this probably.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last one of the day. We got Los Angeles Rams running back Kyren Williams against the Cardinals, Nate. 13 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown, 3 receptions, 16 yards. He scored the team's only touchdown of the day, and he's under contract through 2025. So you at least have another year of a pretty good usage out there in LA. We don't know what the Rams are going to do at quarterback. Maybe Stafford comes back. He's still playing pretty well, even at age 36 or whatever he is, 36, 37, around there. Kyren Williams, man, I said to sell him a while back, regret that. I do have him in a few spots where I couldn't move him, and I'm glad that I couldn't, to be perfectly honest with you.
He just keeps scoring touchdowns, that's for sure.
He really does. So, look, we're going to kind of do the old circle back here. You had Kyren Williams for Garrett Wilson straight up, and one of the trades I saw was Kyren Williams for Garrett Wilson and a 25 fourth. So since you put Garrett Wilson on the sheet, why don't you tell me which way you're leaning? I think I'm leaning Garrett Wilson.
I'm leaning Garrett Wilson too, but I think it's a very, very fair trade.
I agree.
And I'm pretty I don't want to call myself anti-day 3 running back because that's not true, but I am a downer on day 3 running backs. I do know that. So I still have that in me. I always will until proven otherwise. So I'm going to lean the Garrett Wilson side, especially because I do have some question marks about the Rams offense moving forward. Matthew Stafford's pretty old. Cooper Kupp's pretty old. They are going to sneak into the playoffs, I think, though. So good for them. They've managed to pull the season together, and after a pretty tough start to the season. So, they still have some good players there, but I think that team is going to undergo some retooling, which they were undergoing this year and still made the playoffs. So I can't fault them too much, but I'm going to lean Garrett Wilson, and I'm going to just continue to double down on fading Kyren Williams, I guess, even though I know he's producing well. I know. As
of right now, the Rams would be the 3 seed.
They're going to win the division.
Yeah, they're currently winning the NFC West at 10-6.
I guess so. I guess the Seahawks and the Cardinals and the 49ers are not very good this year, so.
Not really. No. Only 4 confirmed NFC playoff spots as of now. The AFC is 6. So there's a couple things that are going to come down to the wire in the NFC there. The next trade I have is Nick Chubb at 25 first, 25 fourth, and 26 first for Kyren Williams.
Honestly, I don't really want Nick Chubb, but I'll take the package here. I'll take this is value-wise, I lean the package. If you're a contending team and you need a running back and this was 2 weeks ago, you going into the playoffs, I'm okay with making that move. But value-wise, I'm taking the package.
Yeah, same here. Chuba Hubbard and Zay Flowers for Kyren Williams. Put this one on here just for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll take Chuba Hubbard and Zay Flowers. I'm happy with that.
I figured I would do the same. Chuba Hubbard with that contract extension. Sucks that Jonathan Brooks got hurt. Wanted to really see him more. And, Zay Flowers, you're getting a team's wide receiver 1 on top of it as well. I lean the package there as well.
Nice.
So, Nate, before we head out on our last podcast of the year, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. Just, it was a good season. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking through the season with you, Mike, and reacting to how everyone's values were moving up and down on a week-to-week basis. But I'm also very excited for what's coming up. As you know, our time to shine, our favorite time of the year is rookie draft season. When we get to scout, we get to talk about these rookies. That's what we're really here for from the get-go. So we're just getting into our favorite time of the year. So if you're listening, please make sure you stick around for the off season. This is our favorite time of the year. It can certainly be your favorite time of the year as we get ready for the NFL draft and your rookie draft.
All right. Thank you, Nate. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for listening throughout the year. 2024 has been great. 2025 is going to be even better for the Dynasty Rewind. So make sure you stick around. Until next time, for Nate, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening.